See, Young Thug had a problem. His problem's this guy. This guy is literally the problem. Meet Lil Woody, basically the main reason Young Thug's on trial in the first place.
Something wild just happened, and it's got the whole timeline shaking. Young Thug hopped on camera, clearly trying to crack jokes, but instead, he threw a direct shot at Lil Woody, calling him slow like it was nothing. And the crazy part, I don't think he realized who he was talking about. Before we even get into Woody's response, let's pause for a second. This isn't some random guy catching strays. This is Kenneth Copeland, better known as Lil Woody, the same man who sat in federal court during the YSL case. The same man whose interrogation footage leaked everywhere. The same man who took the stand in front of a judge, jury, and the entire city watching. That's who Thug decided to clown on camera. Now imagine risking your freedom for somebody. And years later, that same person goes online and calls you mentally unfit. That's not just jokes, that's history talking. And here's where it gets layered. Woody didn't stay quiet. He responded. And when you hear what he had to say, you realize this isn't just internet banter. This is years of built-up tension bubbling over.
If anything, does what you're doing with your hands symbolize, if anything?
A bird.
Okay. Does it mean anything specific?
No, throwing up a bird.
Why are you throwing up a bird in this picture?
Because I'm from Mechanicsville.
Is that the symbol for Mechanicsville?
We represent a bird.
Okay. And then what about the Mikian? Are you familiar with the hand gesture that he used?
Say that again?
Are you familiar with the hand gesture that the Mikian is using? And no,
I don't know what that for to mean.
you don't. How is your relationship with Little D today?
Meaning?
Do y'all still have the same relationship that you had back in, say, 2015?
No, we don't.
On one side, you've got Young Thug throwing shade. On the other, you've got Woody sitting on years of receipts. And when I say receipts, I mean situations, court records, time served, loyalty tested, the whole picture. To understand why this could get messy fast, we've got to rewind. Back to 2013, Atlanta. Young Thug is climbing fast. Danny Glover is buzzing. Stoner is about to explode. Drake is playing his music at All-Star Weekend. The momentum was unreal. Meanwhile, in Mechanicsville, there's a guy named Kenneth Copeland, Lil Woody. Not a rapper, not industry, just a street figure who had already lived through more than most. He lost his father at 10, lost his mother at 17, got kicked out of school right after her passing. By the time he connected with Young Thug, he'd already faced serious hardship. And here's something Woody has said himself. He wasn't a follower. He had his own code. He wasn't chasing cameras or studio sessions. So when Thug called him up and said, pull up, Woody came as who he was. Someone who moved differently. Now let's keep this in context.
See, Young Thug had a problem. His problem's this guy. This guy is literally the problem. Meet Lil Woody, basically the main reason Young Thug's on trial in the first place, but he's also the main reason Young Thug might get freed. You need to listen. Young Thug on trial for being the leader of a gang. He said, I'm not the leader of a gang. Police said, well, that's funny, because we just ran into one of your little friends, Lil Woody, and that boy started singing like Beyonce. Young Thug's lawyer said, okay, he could just be talking. That don't mean Young Thug's part of a... Gunna said Young Thug's group is a gang. Young Thug's lawyer said... Gunna said gang, 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 gang. Gunna, along with like 8 other people, came out and said this to reduce their sentences. Which brings us back to Lil Woody. Remember, he sparked this whole thing. Now it's confirmed that Young Thug's group is a gang. All Woody has to do is bring it home.
Around that time, Young Thug had talent and connections, but he was also in real conflicts. Issues with Lil Wayne's circle, tension with YFN, problems involving people tied to the Inglewood family. These weren't small disagreements. These were street-level disputes mixed with music industry egos. So having someone around who understood that environment, that mattered. But here's where things start feeling uneven. Woody was the one catching legal trouble. Woody was the one getting pulled over constantly. Woody's family home reportedly dealt with retaliation. Meanwhile, Thug's career kept rising. More music, more fame, more money. Then Woody ended up doing 51 months on a federal gun charge. And from what's publicly known, there wasn't some massive financial support coming his way. He was doing that time largely on his own. So when Young Thug recently went on a podcast and referred to him as slow, even comparing him to someone who doesn't think clearly, that hits different, because now it sounds like years of sacrifice getting brushed off like a joke. But let's address the real center of this whole situation. the YSL trial. Because without that trial, none of this public tension even exists. The timeline matters. Back in early 2015, tensions were rising between YSL and YFN. Rich Homie Quan's camp was involved. A figure known as Big Nut, who had ties to the Inglewood family, was reportedly in the middle of some of the conflict. There were incidents at clubs, allegations about jewelry going missing, words exchanged, energy shifting. From there, things escalated. Legal trouble followed over the years. Eventually, the massive RICO case hit. And when Woody took the stand during the trial, that's when public opinion split in half. Some people immediately labeled him a rat. Others who actually followed the court proceedings saw it as more complicated. Because testimony under subpoena in a federal courtroom isn't the same as casually volunteering information. There's legal pressure involved. There are consequences either way. So now fast forward to today, Thug jokes on camera, Woody responds, and suddenly all those years, the charges, the time served, the courtroom moments, they come rushing back into the conversation.
Thug, I love you. Nothing gonna stop me from loving you, but what you do from this moment forward. You knew not to come on this internet. You knew not to let a nigga like Pee Wee Roscoe get on the internet and do what he did. You let Pee Wee do that. You let Pee Wee do that. And Pee Wee got you in all this stuff. Pee Wee got on the internet calling people rats. Pee Wee got on the internet saying all he said. Now guess what? He made people mad. People went to dig up the videos. Now people don't dig up the videos. You are what you are, buddy. You are official on the Woody and Charleston White team. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm okay with being a snitch. Because I know what I did. I know what I've been through. But, nigga, you is a snitch too, nigga. And I ain't happy about it. I'm mad about it. Because I've been knowing this the whole fucking time. And I didn't even say nothing. I sat right here and still let the blame be on me.
This isn't just about a comment. It's about loyalty, perception, and how relationships change once fame and federal cases enter the picture. And depending on which side you're looking from, the story feels completely different. And trust me, this might only be the beginning of it. Now this is where everything shifts. After tensions were already high, word on the street was that a green light had been given. Then January 10th, 2015 hits. A drive-by shooting takes place outside a barbershop. Big Nut loses his life. A 14-year-old gets hit in the leg. Another man in his 20s is struck too. It was chaos. And here's the part that changed everything. As Big Nut was fading, his brother was reportedly right there. According to court discussions, Big Nut told him that Young Thug had something to do with it. That single accusation? That's what eventually fueled the massive YSL RICO case. Now enter Lil Woody. He gets picked up, interrogated more than once throughout 2015. In those rooms, he talks. He mentions things about Thug. He speaks about a rental car. He connects dots investigators were already trying to draw. On paper, it looked damaging. But here's what people gloss over. During the trial, under oath, Woody admitted that some of what he said in those interrogation rooms wasn't true. He straight up said he was saying whatever he felt would get investigators off his back. He basically explained that when you're sitting in a room under pressure, you might say things just to make it stop. That's not me defending it. That's literally what he testified. Fast forward to 2022, the RICO case drops. 28 people indicted, Young Thug labeled by prosecutors as the head of Young Slime Life, and the state's supposed key witness tying Thug to that rental car connected to Big Nut's passing? Lil Woody. Except, Woody didn't want to testify. He told his lawyers. He told prosecutors. He tried pleading the fifth. He even spent a weekend in jail fighting the subpoena instead of getting on that stand. That part gets overlooked all the time. Eventually, he was granted immunity and required to testify. So he gets up there and flips the entire narrative. He calls himself a liar. He says he made things up during interrogations. He contradicts the foundation of the state's argument. In simple terms, he became a nightmare witness for the prosecution. Now, the internet has been debating this for 2 years straight. Was that street loyalty? Was that him protecting himself? Was that genuine belief that Thug wasn't involved? Or was it survival mode kicking in? Here's my take, and you can disagree. Woody's behavior on that stand was consistent with how he'd been moving since 2015. Protect yourself first. And in doing that, Thug ended up benefiting. Whether that was planned or just how it played out naturally, that's up for interpretation. But here's what's undeniable. Young Thug eventually received time served and walked out. The state's case weakened significantly. And a big reason? Their star witness unraveled under questioning. Now fast forward to today, and that same man is being called slow on a podcast. Just sit with that for a second. After the trial wrapped, Woody sat down for interviews. And when he spoke about being forced onto the stand, he didn't sugarcoat it. He said he didn't volunteer. He said he told them repeatedly that he had lied before. He said they gave him immunity and still brought him in. And when he talked about Thug walking free, he said he prayed. He said he thanked God. He said he never wanted to see that man go down either. Now that statement can be read two ways. Either that's raw loyalty, or that's one of the most calculated moves ever. But again, it's consistent with everything he's said since. So now when Young Thug goes on a podcast and describes him like he's mentally slow, like a child who doesn't understand things, Woody doesn't crash out. He doesn't hop online screaming. He doesn't threaten anybody. He responds calmly, measured, like someone who knows the full story and knows he's holding a lot more than people realize. And that calm response, that might be the most powerful move in this entire situation. And that calm right there, that's the part people should really pay attention to. Because calm doesn't mean weak. Calm doesn't mean clueless. Sometimes calm means calculated. And Lil Woody has already shown that when pressure hits, he doesn't move how people expect. He doesn't panic. He adjusts. He once said something in a different conversation that stuck with me. He talked about how in just 2 years, a lot of people lost their lives sitting behind bars, while others were outside in clubs celebrating. That wasn't just a random statement, that was perspective. That was someone who's seen loyalty cost people everything. So when Young Thug calls him slow, I don't see confusion on Woody's face. I don't see hurt feelings. I see someone quietly adding up numbers. A man calculating what he gave versus what he got back. And sometimes that math doesn't balance. Let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just two guys trading words. This is a real-life example of how loyalty works and how it falls apart under pressure. Woody once said something deep. Betrayal doesn't start because someone planned it from day one. It starts when circumstances change. That's real. Nobody gets close thinking, I'm going to turn on this person. You build history. You move together. You handle situations. But when heat shows up, that's when people reveal who they really are. From Woody's perspective, he was there before the big stages and platinum plaques. He was around during the street-level issues. There were reports of shootings hitting near his child's mother's house. His family's homes dealing with retaliation tied to ongoing disputes. That's serious. Meanwhile, from what Woody has publicly suggested, he didn't feel protected. He didn't feel financially backed during his legal troubles. When he was sitting in federal prison, he was sitting alone. That's how he's framed it in interviews. Then there's the interrogation footage. Woody claims the state leaked it to increase pressure on him, not the defense. Whether people believe that or not, that's what he's maintained. And when he was finally forced to testify, after trying to avoid it, after spending a weekend locked up for resisting, he got on that stand and unraveled the prosecution's case. Call it loyalty, call it self-preservation, either way, the outcome was clear. Young Thug eventually walked out with time served, and now that same man is being dismissed publicly as mentally unfit. That's where it gets tricky, because by calling Woody slow, you're basically implying he wasn't credible. But here's the twist. He wasn't the one who sealed Thug's fate. If anything, his testimony complicated the state's case. So why go at him now? Is it frustration over interviews? Woody has been speaking more, telling his side, building his own platform. Is that rubbing Thug the wrong way? Or is it deeper than that? Because here's something else people keep replaying. In a post-trial interview, Woody was asked if there were things he'd been holding back, things he didn't say during the trial. He looked straight at the camera and basically said, "Not on this camera." He hinted that certain information wouldn't be shared for free. Now, what does that suggest? It suggests there's more story than what the public has heard. And that's where the tension really sits. The man who was present during some of the most chaotic years is still here, still talking, and possibly still holding details nobody else knows. Every time Thug publicly downplays him, that pressure builds. And when pressure builds, people talk. That's just human nature. Now, when I say this situation could get dangerous, I'm not talking about music diss tracks. I'm talking about real-life consequences. Words matter, especially when they're directed at someone with a history like Woody's. This is a man who has survived shootings, a man whose family dealt with retaliation, a man who's done time in federal and state prison. He's talked about fights inside, about being stabbed, about navigating violent environments just to make it out. That kind of background changes how someone responds to disrespect. And again, he didn't explode. He didn't threaten. He stayed calm. But sometimes, the quiet response carries more weight than yelling ever could. This isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about how relationships shift when fame, federal cases, and public narratives get involved. Loyalty in tough environments isn't simple. It's layered, it's emotional, it's survival-based. And when old allies start trading subtle shots in public, especially after everything that's happened, you have to wonder, is this really just jokes? Or is it something that's been building for years, finally surfacing in plain sight? This isn't a man who moves off pure emotion. This is someone who survived situations that would mentally and physically break most people. Lil Woody has been through federal prison, state time, violence, public scrutiny, and he's still standing. That alone tells you something. And here's what makes it even more interesting. He's not in the streets right now. He's been building something different. He's doing interviews. He's speaking at law schools. He's trying to reshape his image publicly. From what we've seen, that shift wasn't forced. It looked intentional. It looked strategic. So when someone with the reach and influence of Young Thug publicly calls him slow on a podcast, the real question isn't whether Woody's feelings are hurt. The real question is, what does he do next? Because men like Woody don't usually react immediately. They assess, they calculate. And he has already hinted that he has more to say. Things he chose not to reveal during the trial. Things he didn't unpack in interviews. Things that never made it into the public record. That's the part people aren't thinking about. When you publicly push someone who's been choosing silence, you risk changing their decision to stay quiet. And whether people want to admit it or not, Woody's silence may have protected Young Thug more than any courtroom strategy ever did. Let's be honest. Woody could have gone into far more detail on that stand. He could have broken down timelines. He could have expanded on meetings, conversations, car rentals, who was where and who knew what. He didn't. He kept things limited, controlled, measured. Since the trial ended, he hasn't been flooding the internet with weekly tell-alls either. He's been selective, careful, building his own lane. And now, he's publicly dismissed as mentally unfit. But look at how he responded. Calm, no yelling, no dramatic live stream, no emotional spiral, just composed energy. And that composure, that's what makes this situation feel heavier than people realize. From experience watching real-life conflicts unfold, not movie scenes, not rap videos, the most critical moment isn't when someone is shouting. It's when they get quiet, when they smile and say, "It's all good." That's when you pay attention. Woody isn't crashing out. He isn't threatening. He's speaking carefully, and sometimes careful is more powerful than loud. Now let's zoom out because this story is bigger than two men exchanging shots. It's about what happens when street loyalty collides with real-world consequences. When survival, fame, and federal cases enter the same room, things change. Woody once said he wished he could rewind life and join the army. He said army movies are the only thing that help him fall asleep. Think about that for a second. This is the same man the internet labeled a rat. The same man who sat on a witness stand in one of the most high-profile cases in hip-hop. The same man who the culture debated non-stop. And yet, his personal dream was structured service, discipline, order, purpose. Instead, he grew up in Mechanicsville without a father, lost his mother at 17, dealt with a head injury that reportedly impacted him long-term, got removed from school during one of the hardest periods of his life, ended up in environments that didn't offer many options. That human side often disappears when people reduce someone to one courtroom moment. Now, does that mean every decision he made was right? That's not for me to judge. But what can be observed publicly is consistency. Woody has owned what he said in interrogation rooms. He has explained his reasoning. He hasn't tried to paint himself as flawless. Meanwhile, Young Thug is free, alive, career intact. And a major reason the prosecution's narrative weakened was how that testimony unfolded. And now he's joking publicly about the mental capacity of the same man who complicated that case. That's where the conversation gets uncomfortable, because street codes talk about loyalty a lot. But when loyalty benefits someone, how often do they return it with respect? From the outside looking in, the scoreboard feels different than the online narrative. Woody was the one dealing with charges, the one whose family reportedly faced retaliation, the one sitting in interrogation rooms, the one who did prison time. Young Thug walked out with time served, released music, and stepped back into public life. And now he's downplaying the man who stood in that storm. The culture sees that. The streets see that. And Woody definitely sees it. So here's something to think about before you click off this video. In a situation built on loyalty, who actually held it down? And what does it say about someone if, the moment they regain freedom, they publicly mock the person who didn't let the system bury them? Some would say that's confidence. Others might say that's insecurity talking. And when I say this situation could turn dangerous, I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about reputations, narratives, information. Because when someone who knows a lot decides to speak, that can shift everything. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think this is harmless podcast banter? Or is this the start of something deeper resurfacing? If you made it this far, hit that like button so more people can join the conversation. Share this video with someone who's been following the YSL case. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Also, check out the next video popping up on your screen right now. We're breaking down another major celebrity situation that has the internet divided. I'll catch you on the next one.